Hey gang, don't mind me. I'm just tweeting that we are we are live right now. What's going on, Fire Fam? Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze because we know and we understand that a better tomorrow is indeed necessary and possible, and we are willing to fight for it. So, God damn it, it will happen. I'm so happy you guys all are here in the place to be. Let me get to the channel so I can participate in this here chat. Shout out to everyone that is watching us across the internet. What's up, Twitter? Follow us on Twitter at BurnItDownKB. Shout out to Twitch. We are at BIDWKB on Twitch. What's up, Facebook? I went to Facebook over the weekend and I was pleasantly surprised at some of the nice things that actually people had to say about us on Facebook. I was genuinely aghast, like, positivity on Facebook. I didn't even realize that was an actual thing. So shout out to the good people watching and supporting Burn It Down with Kim Brown on Facebook. So gang, we have got a great show for you in store today. I'm really excited about this show because I think we're going to hit a lot of the hot button issues that we hit here on Burn It Down with Kim Brown, because you know we always talk a lot about workers and about the importance of organizing and specifically unionizing your workplace and taking actions when your employers are on some bullshit, okay? When you organize with your coworkers, y'all might get some shit accomplished. And I think this was Infinite Content. Infinite Content, correct me if this was not you, but someone tagged me on this story about the teachers in Minneapolis. They are on strike as of today. Alicia, what's going on? Which is fantastic. And the demands that they're calling for include systemic changes. Okay, the teachers say that the state of Minnesota is sitting on a $9 billion surplus, and the conditions reflected in the Minneapolis public school system are not up to par with the city and with the state that's sitting on piles of money. So the teachers are here to get wit. The Minneapolis public school system, we will talk about that a little bit later on in the show. And of course, the headline of today's show has everything to do with WNBA star Brittney Griner. And why Brittney Griner's story is not a bigger fucking story? Well, I know why, but it needs to be. It needs to be. And if mainstream news is not going to properly lead with the fact that there is an American citizen being held under hostile conditions with the country that we are indeed engaged in all kinds of warfare with, be it sanctions, economic warfare, proxy warfare, whatever the fuck you want to call it, we ain't cool with Russia right now. And Brittney is being held under some bullshit, by the way. I've got some things to say about people who are very quick to agree with the Russian narrative that, yeah, Brittney was running bricks of hash cartridges. No, no, I need y'all to put y'all thinking caps on. Not y'all, of course, not the Fire Fam, because y'all smarter than that bullshit. But other motherfuckers out here, please correct these niggas, because nope, that's not what we're gonna do. This is a gay black woman being held in Russia, which is, you know, hostile to both gay and black folks. I know Russia has done some historically symbolic things to acknowledge the contributions of Africans and black Americans. But I assure you, you do not want to be black walking the streets of Moscow 1 o'clock in the morning. Trust me. Trust me. So we're going to get into what's happening with Brittney Griner without a doubt. Hold on. Let me shout out my people. I see them here. What's up, Courtney? Come through, Courtney the Stallion. Hey, Anna Hart. What's going on, 40J Blaze? Of course, Vesper X is in the house. Quaker Anarchist is here. Afra. Hey, Afra. Always so happy to see Afra. Who else we got in here today? What kind of crowd we got? Come on, we got plenty of space. Y'all come on in, because we still social distancing and indoor masking at Burn It Down with Kim Brown. I don't know what the fuck America is doing, but no, we ain't on that bullshit, because we support our immunocompromised and disabled brothers and sisters. We want to keep them safe. We care about their lives here at Burn It Down with Kim Brown. So keep your motherfucking mask on When the weather breaks, we will go outside. But while we are inside, and it's all of us in here, you will mask and you will be okay with masking. What's up, Latif? Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much for coming through. Wendy is in here. We got Tyler's here. We got a nice little crowd. So I'm very happy to see here. Of course, my sister, ma frère, franc et français. Bonjour, bonjour, baby. Come on through. Shirley's here too. Come through, come through. All right, all right. Because this is important. I'm glad all of my people are in here. But you guys, especially our longtime viewers, this is a big deal to me, okay? So last week we talked about how our friends of the show, Richie Sergenko and the People's City Council, had a very, I thought, even-handed story reported about them for Spectrum News Los Angeles, right? So we wanted to highlight the fact that once in a blue moon, radical leftist activists will occasionally get fair and or decent press coverage. But something happened over the weekend. In fact, it was Sunday evening to another friend of Burn It Down with Kim Brown, another one of our Los Angeles comrades, our sister Cerise Castle. Cerise Castle, of course, has been on this show a couple of times. Cerise authored a devastating multi-piece investigative expose into the history of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department gangs. And I assure you that the Sheriff's Department has been mad about that shit since it was published. And Sunday, let me back up. Was it Sunday? No, so the event happened, the incident I'm speaking about did happen Sunday. I'm just trying to remember, when did I see it? I think I might have seen it Monday morning. And Cerise had tweeted about it. Kate Cagle from Spectrum News in Los Angeles was tweeting about it. So here's what happened. The Los Angeles sheriff, the HBIC, the sheriff got on iHeartRadio's KFI AM. I think it's 640 AM. Apparently the sheriff has a radio program in which Sundays sounds a lot like, to me, where Alex Villanueva does an airing of the grievances for 2 hours, okay? And this past Sunday, he dedicated the topic of his show to the deputy gangs, right? Because in addition to Cerise's reporting, which, by the way, kicked off a lot of other reporting, including coverage of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Deputies gangs by Rolling Stone, Loyola Marymount University, their School of Law, they did some reports into this, and a lot of this, if not all of it, in this present moment, really can be credited to Cerise Castle. Okay, Cerise took a very bold step to do this, to investigate not only the history, but the current activities of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department gangs, right? I mean, because the shit, not only do they exist, but they are actively participating in illegal behavior and criminal behavior, some of which is resulting in people being killed, okay? They've had a number of whistleblowers come through. They've had a number of whistleblowers come out and say that the LASD is not operating on the up and up. Not only do these gangs exist, but there are many other problems within the Los Angeles Sheriff's Deputy's Office. So yeah, what Cerise did was some extremely brave reporting, right? Which, by the way, if you go back to either of the interviews when she appeared here on Burn It Down with Kim Brown, I think it was the most recent one, she told us that she had pitched that story to a number of outlets, and they were not interested. And during this airing of the grievances, this smearing of Cerise, let me call it what it is. Alex Villanueva got on the radio, smeared Cerise, tried to discredit her as a journalist, tried to discredit her piece, tried to discredit the sources of which her piece is extremely well cited, tried to discredit everything about her, called her an alleged journalist, and questioned her motives for doing this, as if being a lifetime Los Angelino worried about police violence in her community is not reason enough for her to want to undertake such an endeavor. I mean, get the fuck out of here. So listen, y'all gonna be mad like me because listen, when I saw the tweets, I think I levitated. I literally levitated with fury because Alex Villanueva is probably the most powerful, most influential law enforcement officer in Southern California. Make no mistake about it. And when conservative fucking law enforcement wingnuts, police state wingnuts, Blue Lives Matter wingnuts like Alex Villanueva specifically target and call out Black women who are not in positions of power, they jeopardize the safety of those women, okay? Specifically. And let me be clear. Well, you know what? Let me woosah. Because I've got lots of minutes of this to play for you all. And the first thing I want to play is in radio parlance, they call it a stinger, right? Or even the intro. So this is how Alex Villanueva's radio show begins on KFI 640 AM. Tunde, let's hit that A1. Guys, listen to how this shit starts.
Now, live from the studios of KFI, the man who runs the world's largest sheriff's department, Alex Villanueva.
The man who runs the world's largest sheriff's department, the head of the world's largest taxpayer-funded gang, Alex Villanueva. Make no mistake, even though this man is fuckboy number one, this man is powerful, this man is influential, and the shit that this man says carries. It don't carry nowhere with us, but it carries to the simple motherfuckers who believe that the police state is the only way forward. So I want us to parse through this smearing of Cerise Castle, and we're going to break periodically to debunk some of the shit that Alex Villanueva was saying with a lot of authority, right? He's the sheriff. Doesn't he know the law, right? What he says holds a lot of credibility for people who are inclined to give the police the benefit of the doubt, which is a lot of people, okay? We are in the minority here. We understand that the police lie routinely. We understand that the police routinely assault, violate people's civil and constitutional rights. We understand that police routinely domestically abuse their partners. We understand that police are routinely okay with sexually abusing people within their custody. It goes on and on and on. So the things that we know and accept as standard operating procedure for police like to pretend that there's no evidence of any of that. None of that. Where is this even coming from? These accusations are preposterous. So what we have here, so we are going to check out approximately 6 minutes of this. Now, gang, again, y'all know I would not play nothing of any extended duration if I didn't think it was extremely compelling and relevant. Now, what we are going to do during this 6 minute clip, we're going to stop it from time to time and break down the bullshit. But I just want you guys to listen to this with the understanding of who he is and who Cerise is, okay? Like, Cerise ain't Willow Smith. I mean, shout out Cerise. No disrespect to Cerise, but you understand this is not a woman who is coming from prestige and money. She does not have that kind of support. You understand? Like this is not, she's not an elected official, okay? Like the power dynamic in the way that Villanueva uses this bully pulpit afforded to him by iHeartRadio, the way that Villanueva wields this bully pulpit against her is what is dangerous and what is extremely concerning. So this is how I want you guys to listen to this. So today, let's roll with A2 and I'll wave or say stop or something when it's time to stop and do some picking apart of the bullshit. So check this out, guys. This was Sunday. Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva attacking friend of Burn It Down with Kim Brown, Cerise Castle. Take a listen.
And now let's start peeling apart these reports, the three famous reports. I don't know if they're famous or infamous reports, but the first one from a self-ascribed journalist who's actually, I think, filed a claim against the department because she was in a protest and got hit by a projectile or something. And that was during, I think, was it during the civil protest back in 2020? So this, I guess, was a cathartic experience for her, I think. So this young lady, Cerise Castles, she writes a report, and it's published in it's a Knock LA website, which is one of these.
Okie dokie. So let's start there. Villanueva says that Cerise was injured at a protest in 2020, which is accurate. Cerise was at a protest covering the protest in response to the murder of George Floyd. She identified herself as a member of the press. She was still hit with projectiles, fired, I believe, by Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. So that is correct. Cerise, as a member of the press, was attacked by law enforcement, injured by law enforcement while exercising her First Amendment rights to assemble and to operate as a member of the media. So amazingly, Villanueva started off somewhat accurate, but fuck him. Let's keep rolling.
Far left, anti-government, anti-law enforcement websites. And then this is pretty interesting. They put a searchable database of all the deputy gangs and deputy gang members. They include the late Sherman Block. Sheriff Lee Baca is an associate gang member. Apparently, I'm listed down here too somehow. And I notice on their database, they put as a source of the information, all the sources are from lawsuits. Every single one is a lawsuit. Whereas when we talk about databases,
Really quick. Okay, sorry. So really, the one thing I failed to mention is that Villanueva is not in studio by himself. He is there accompanied by two people, one of which I believe is a assistant district attorney for San Bernardino, and another person is another law enforcement representative. They identified themselves at the very beginning of the interview. I failed to write their names out. That don't mean them niggas ain't in there. So when you hear other voices, the person who sounds like an absolute white guy is the prosecutor, and the other semi-Latino sounding person is the other law enforcement person. I'm sorry I can't recall the names because I was so furious while I was time coding this interview. But the main voice you hear is Villanueva, and then he periodically kicks it to his other cop supporting apparatus, right? So let's take a listen. And by the way, these two gentlemen just operate solely as yes men throughout the duration of this segment. So let's resume.
the law enforcement, Ricky, where does the source of information come from?
Comes from the people we contact out in the field and the work done by our deputies and our investigators.
So you don't derive it from looking at lawsuit filings?
No.
What do you think of that, Brett?
Well, for us to get away with a gang enhancement in court, we have to have evidence, which requires him and officers like him to go out and validate that people are gang members by looking at, we tend to offer evidence of their clothing, who they're hanging out with, what crimes they're committing, what tattoos they have, their own admission,
Correct.
right? Their friends and colleagues pointing them out and knowing them as gang members. I mean, it's really telling when one of our probation officers, Nate Scarano, he taught me this. He goes in and does a probation search, and even mom knows the kid by his moniker, not his Christian name.
Oh, Lord.
So he's not Johnnie, he's Flacco.
Okay.
Right? And so we look for evidence like that he has to get on the streets.
All right, let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. There's a lot right there. There's a lot right there. So Villanueva is asking Ricky, I guess Ricky's in charge of gang shit for the police, as Ricky and the other young and the fucking prosecutor, cop, right? Asking him, what are the ways in which you identify gangs and the evidence that you use to build cases regarding gang affiliation, right? And it really sounded as though Alex Villanueva did an excellent job of describing the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department gangs. And it's so interesting here because they are telling us literally with completely straight faces and detailed explanations as to why there's no evidence of gang activity in the sheriff's department that has been discovered by the sheriff's department. Do you seriously expect us as a conscious, breathing, functioning public to even think for a second that the police can be trusted for even a microsecond to investigate themselves with any sort of credibility, transparency, or accountability? Absolutely not. We have seen this time and time again. You cannot trust the cops to investigate themselves. And this is so what makes that clip kind of hilarious to me. It's like, I'm sorry. Are police known to tell on themselves? Are they going to come tell their supervisor that, yeah, I just got inked to be part of the executioners. Now I can come to the social club and hang out with the rest of you and the other upper echelon gang leadership. I mean, let's be serious here about the kind of information that is available. And let's be also serious here that not only the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, LAPD, and really you could pick a law enforcement agency from around the country. None of these cops want to be fucking investigated, okay? You see all the resistance to civilian oversight, vehement resistance to civilian oversight. Anytime a cop is either about to be investigated or indicted or even charged with something especially like a murder, the Fraternal Order Police and related associations always come out in defense of the police, period, point blank. So this entire apparatus is designed to protect the illegal criminal activity and misconduct of law enforcement. So please, I know a lot of the people who support the police may not be of the highest order of intelligence, but please, us who are directly impacted by the police, don't give us no lies about how there is no evidence. We don't have evidence to bring to accuse officers of gang activity, bitch. Everybody knows that they are motherfucking gangsters. Make no mistake about it. Let's pick it up.
Basically, it's quantifiable, documented evidence that you obtain, and it doesn't come from an actual lawsuit. The initial filings in a lawsuit, which could be anything. As attorneys, they can throw anything on the wall to see what sticks.
Right.
But that would not be a solid basis to identify somebody as a gang member, I take it.
No, it doesn't, sir. It comes from investigators and the patrol deputies and the guys working the street and having these contacts with these individuals and building a rapport with them and getting information from them and being able to validate that they are true gang members. That comes from speaking to them, tattoos, neighborhoods, just like Britt said. A lot of it comes from
really quick, Tunde.
And I assume
Really quick, Tunde, which is kind of funny, guys. And if you go to People's City Council Twitter account, and I guess do a search because I'm sure it's probably buried, but Richard Sejenko has confronted Alex Villanueva directly and challenged him to show his tattoos because it is alleged that Villanueva himself is a member of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department gang, and he refuses to show his tats. If you ain't got nothing to hide, buddy, just roll up your sleeve there, Alecky. Okay, I'm sorry. Pick it up, please. Thank you.
there's going to be a criminal rap sheet attached to all this.
Typically, I
Yes.
mean, they're usually not infrequent flyers, they're frequent flyers. And so there will be court-based convictions that result in a rap sheet.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Not to mention arrests, which
Or
he can
field interview
backtrack
cards.
arrests.
We use field interview cards for that.
Well, this young lady decided to label anybody she could find a name in a lawsuit was by definition an associate or a gang member. So one of the lawsuits was by one young deputy by the name of Ostroberto Gonzalez. And he had the unique distinction of having his lawsuit tossed out with prejudice for lack of evidence. Because at some point, he said, okay, show us the evidence. Because he had a lot of wild claims about planting evidence, all kinds of things. And apparently in depositions, everything he said was, okay, so how do you know this? It's common knowledge. Every answer was his common knowledge. So, so when the rubber meets the road and the judge tossed out the case with prejudice, that was the foundation of Knock LA and this Cerise Castle report. So does she withdraw this information then, since the information is no longer valid? Apparently not, because the information, I just looked it up right now, and I see Ostroberto Gonzalez is a source of information for all these things that she just claims, and this has been out for months already. So
That's right.
doesn't
Okay, let's
doesn't
stop it
speak
there.
very
Let's
high.
stop it there. So first of all, Cerise used a lot of different sources from not only lawsuits, but also reports conducted by civilian oversight. And I believe it was the Board of Supervisors, if I'm not mistaken. Go to knock-la.com if you have not checked out Cerise's investigative series. You absolutely need to do that. But her work is extremely well sourced. It does not stem from just lawsuits, nor does it just stem from this one deputy, from this one former deputy. I think he said his name was Art Gonzalez, which, by the way, gang, if you have been watching Burn It Down with Kim Brown for a long time, the tragic murder, I believe in 2020, I think it was June of 2020 in Compton, of Andres Guardado, is helped to what kick open the conversations around the issue of Los Angeles Sheriff's deputy gangs. And around that time is when this deputy that fuckface Villanueva is referring to actually gave a sworn deposition. Shout out to Memo Torres. Memo Torres of LA Taco. Memo was on here with us, and we talked extensively about the Andres Guardado case. And Tunde, can I ask you a question? So can we, if we pause it here, can we go to another video and come back to this? Okay, okay. So I can tell you which one I'd want to go to after this. So it's going to be it would be A7. Yeah. So yeah, it just I can just I can rock until you tell me that you're ready to pull it up. It's no problem. So guys, so I wanted to also make this point this out while we're getting that clip ready, because it is important to highlight what Villanueva is talking about, this deputy Gonzalez. Because he has since been, first of all, he's a whistleblower. Let's lead off there. Of course, it's impossible to investigate the police because number one, police are horrible at investigating themselves. Number two, when people who work within law enforcement actually show the temerity to want to cooperate and I guess help to elevate policing to the level that, the level of morality and standard that we are mythologized to believe that it is. When those kind of people do come forward, they are penalized, they are targeted, they are ousted, they are maligned, they are discredited, they are threatened. They talk about people who oppose police reform and defunding the police, when they talk about just a couple of bad actors or it's just a couple bad apples, nigga, y'all don't want to y'all don't want to hear about the bad apples, because when people come tell them about the bad apples, then it turns into a problem. Yes, sir. Okay, awesome. So the clip that we're about to hear is again from so we're going to hold on. We're coming back to Villanueva because again, I was so incensed the way that he referenced the reports about LA deputy gangs. But he led with Cerise, you understand? And he spent the most time on Cerise. Again, singling out, highlighting this Black woman for isolation, trying to isolate her, basically, to discredit her and to intimidate her. Furious. This makes me furious, but we're going to put a pin in Villanueva's bullshit, and we're going to come back to that. But I want you guys to hear this piece. I think this is by Spectrum News in January, about the prevalence of this gang activity. Because again, Villanueva tries to make it sound as though it's Cerise's piece alone. It's Knock LA alone. And these other investigative pieces were spurred by Cerise's pack of well-documented, well-cited investigative journalism that she did. And here's the whole point. I'm even going through all this, you guys. We're not going to let this woman's work be discredited, not by some fuckboy like him. Not him. It's not going to happen. But anyway, take a listen to this piece regarding how the community is still experiencing how the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department polices and terrorizes communities of color in LA County. Let's take a listen.
When you're a black man in Compton, there is no such thing as a routine traffic stop, according to Aaron Voorhees.
If you have 20 or 30 of these incidents, and on the 31 time you fail to do the right thing and they take your life, that's just a lot of pressure.
A third-generation Compton native, he wouldn't raise a family anywhere else. But when two Compton sheriff's deputies pulled him over in 2019, his wife and kids were watching through a window.
He basically told me that if I didn't get out of the car, he was going to arrest me. My wife and kids are in the window. I was trying to de-escalate it. So he opens the door. They pull me out. They handcuff me. They searched me. They put me in the back of the car.
He ended up with just a ticket. So on Tuesday, Aaron logged into a virtual town hall and voiced his concerns to Sheriff Alex Villanueva himself.
We need feedback from your experience, for anyone who has experience like this. I'm sure there's more. You're not the only one.
The Compton Sheriff's Station is embroiled in controversy. Last summer, Deputy Art Gonzalez swore under oath that a gang of tattooed deputies called the Executioners ran the station, resulting in a culture of violence against the community.
I now call them a gang because that's what gangs do. They beat up other people.
Sheriff Alex Villanueva says they've investigated the claims, fired and transferred deputies.
Here you have a flag with the executioner's symbol.
But Gonzalez's attorney, Alan Romero, says there's more to the story.
Unfortunately, the department has decided that they're going to fire Deputy Gonzalez. They've instigated false and spurious investigations into his background and his patrol duties. And unfortunately, they've made it completely impossible for Deputy Gonzalez to do his job. Other whistleblowers have seen this, and this has had a massively chilling effect.
Romero represents 5 deputies who've come forward with similar claims. One says the executioners enforced illegal arrest quotas in Compton. Another claims the station defrauded the city out of potential millions of dollars, money that was supposed to pay for patrol cars out on the street. In a statement, a sheriff's spokesman said they are looking into the fraud claims.
What we have here is a war zone where you have deputies who are deranged and unfortunately misled, who are at war with the people of Compton, who are overwhelmingly, the victims here are Black Americans.
At the town hall, the station's captain briefly addressed the allegations.
I am running this station. There are no gangs running Compton Station. I am running the station, and I'm holding our deputies accountable.
But to Aaron, her words are not enough to rebuild the community's trust.
They treat everyone like we're gangsters and we're gang members. And no, you have to prove to them that you're not a threat to them.
He's done accepting the status quo and says it's time to build something better for the future of Compton.
Fuck the police. Coming straight out of Compton. You already know what time it is. That was Spectrum News reporting. And guys, also do me a favor at your convenience. Not right now, but at your convenience. I want you to Google Asia Brown and Los Angeles Sheriff's executioners. Asia Brown is the mayor of Compton. And I almost pulled the package in which the mayor of Compton was accosted by the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. She was forced from her vehicle. Her husband was in the car with her, as was her infant child, and she was patted down for drugs until they realized, oh, she's somebody. Maybe we shouldn't do this. And just to give you an indication of how rampant the racial profiling is of Black and brown motorists, pedestrians, bicyclists in Los Angeles County. And wasn't it real cute at the end of that package? Did you see Lieutenant Van Buren get on there and talk about she run this precinct, not the gangs? Okay, Anita.
And now,
Whatever you say, Anita. Okay. I watched enough Law and Order to know that Anita ain't really in charge. Lieutenant Van Buren thought she was real cute right there. Anyway. There's only about a minute left in this particular segment. We're going to go back to the Villanueva thing because, again, Cerise, in addition to well sourcing and well citing her reporting, she didn't pull this shit out of nowhere. It has been a open, decades-long, I can't even call it a secret if everybody knows about it. It has been known fact in LA since the 70s, 60s, that the police operate as gangs. Okay. Now I can't wait to read the piece about the LAPD gangs because I know they got them, but the sheriff's department gangs, their history is extremely well documented. And as we come up and listen to more clips from this Villanueva smearing of Cerise Castle, it's going to be funny to hear him reference the past as if he himself personally has nothing to do with the past, as if he can't be accountable for what the institution that he currently runs did in the past, which I suppose could be a point, but that doesn't mean that you discount the actions of your institution in the past. Just because the particular unit that invaded Vietnam of the U.S. military in the 1960s and 70s, just because they don't currently, even though they probably do, even though they don't currently go around killing villagers, which they probably do, the institution itself has a documented history of doing just that. So don't act like I don't know nothing about this. Okay, fuck this nigga. Anyway, let's listen to the last about minute of this particular clip of Villanueva this Sunday on the radio.
Gonzalez is a source of information for all these things that she just claims. And this has been out for months already. So doesn't speak very highly of her investigative skills, if that's what it is. But then here we go. She talks about 186.22 of the California Penal Code, which I think you guys were referencing, right? And she says criminal gang is described as any organization or group of three or more that has a common name or identifying sign or symbol. I think we're good with that, right? Has as one of its primary activities the commission of one of a long list of California criminal offenses.
You do.
Still okay with that, right? And
yes,
whose members have engaged in a pattern of criminal gang activity, either alone or together.
Yes.
Actually, that's now incorrect. The law was changed as of January 1st. The definition in the past was whose members individually or collectively engage in. Now it has been changed due to legislation sponsored by Senator Kamlinger that we must show that members collectively engage in that pattern of criminal activity.
So you think that they got a little gotcha there, don't you? They didn't, because Cerise's piece was published last year before the law was changed, as you heard the district attorney just say there, January 1st. So every bit of Cerise's reporting has been accurate. So don't let that cute little, ooh, gotcha. See, she got that wrong. No, she didn't get that wrong, because Villanueva did not mention that Cerise's piece was published, I believe, in the fall of 2021. So there's that. Actually, I think it was actually even before then. I think it was like earlier last year, like in the spring, perhaps. It's been a while. This piece has been out for several months. So it's kind of interesting that they were like, oh, that part's not right. So there's that. All right. So there is more to this. And again, and the reason we are even taking the time for this, because I just want you guys to be clear, and I know that you are. If you are here, then you're probably clear on a lot of things, but I can't say it enough. I can't point it out enough, the ways in which Black women are targeted for harassment, for diminishment, to try to discredit us, to diminish our skills, our experience, our intelligence, our credibility, our professionalism, like every single thing. Our reasons, like, again, Cerise is from LA, born and raised. Like, why the fuck would she not write about this? This impacts her directly. She is a victim of police brutality and police violence. Why would she not investigate this? So there's that. So I think, are we on, is it going to be A3 here today? Yes. Okay, so we're going to pick up because again, and I'm looking at my time codes here. So I'm not going to even send y'all to the website because again, I'm giving you the meat right here. Y'all don't need. I mean, if you want to go back and listen to that shit, just to be pissed, sure. But I'm giving you the meats. The meats is right here, and I'm looking at my time codes. And this next clip came at 24 minutes into the interview. Okay, so he's been talking about Cerise basically for 25 whole minutes, and he was not even partially finished. So let's listen to this. This is going to be about 2-ish minutes. And again, I can't recall exactly what was said in every clip, so I might be jumping in here like all excitedly. So let's take a listen to A3, please, Tunde.
So now, okay. But then she writes under this, our author, our distinguished author here, Cerise Castle, sheriff's gangs fit the description. Declaratory statement. This is right out the gate.
Because it's true.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. Because now when they talk about she writes about the origins of the gangs, and then she goes through these different groups that historically been around. Now, this is where it gets interesting because one group they refer to as the Red Devils or Little Devils, depending on who you ask. Another group, Vikings. And these are groups from the 1970s. And they've all retired. But they're still apparently, in her mind, in the active, very fertile mind of our Inspector General, there's 18 gangs, roaming the streets of LA. In fact, there was a very wild Rolling Stones deputy gangs wreaking havoc across LA County or something like that.
One second,
so this is where, as you can see,
so I think that's kind of interesting because throughout the duration of this interview, that is the only time that I think he specifically talks about two specific gangs, the Red Devils or Little Devils and the Vikings. And he goes, those gangs went away in the 70s. Oh, so you're aware. there was an awareness. You've heard about this at least. This is not the first time you've heard of the Vikings as part of a Los Angeles Sheriff's deputy gang, nor the Little Devils or the Red Devils. These names are familiar to you because he even knew that the one gang could be referred to by two different ways, right? So he has some familiarity with this. So clearly this man is disingenuous, is dishonest. He has prior knowledge of the existence of these gangs, but the way that he tries to discredit Cerise is by saying that these gangs went away in the 70s. Oh, of course. And I'm sure none of those officers in those gangs either A, trained anybody. I'm sure they never trained anybody who came up under them. I'm sure they never committed criminal acts and misconduct and misdeeds that were probably either never investigated, never brought to light, never even questioned, right? Because, hey, if there was known gang activity in the 70s of the Los Angeles Sheriff's deputies, what the fuck else you think they were doing? The most. The answer, gang, is the most. They were doing the most. If Alex Villanueva in the year 2022 has knowledge about what the Los Angeles Sheriff's deputies were doing gang-wise amongst their own ranks, if he knows about that now, some shit that happened allegedly 50 years ago, shit. You can't even imagine what those motherfuckers was doing in the 70s, dog. And it's fucked up because when I laugh literally to keep from crying because think about all the black and brown bodies that those gangs, those two by themselves, think about all the blood they have on their hands, people's deaths who will never be thought, questioned, investigated. Like it is really abhorrent the way that law enforcement occupies and has been an occupying force in black and brown communities and the atrocities that they have committed, many of which will never, ever be known. People's names will never even have a chance to ever be hashtags. You understand? But he's so cavalier with the shit. And he's like, well, those two gangs went away in the 70s, but there's 18 gangs. Bitch, I can do simple fucking math. 18 minus 2 equals 16. What's up with the rest of them joints, Alex? What's up with the rest of them joints, Alex? You ain't got shit. He ain't had shit else to say about none of the rest of them. I assure you. He called out the two that he figured had the lowest membership, right? So there's that. So I'm sorry. Let's pick it up.
Okay, can we connect the dots in any way? Is there enough information? Because if I pull any identified gang member that you deal with in your prosecutorial capacity, your investigative capacity, and you look at the rap sheet, you look at the activity, you look at the rest, okay, there might be the tattoos, whatever, but you put all the information together, it fits 186.22. But if I pull the average deputy off the street, in fact, I'll go so far as pulling one of Miss Castle's infamous associates, quote unquote, I don't get anything. Literally, I get absolutely nothing. All I get is a employee who works in law enforcement, may have a very distinguished record, may have already be retired, may not have a tattoo, may have multiple tattoos. Who knows? Maybe they have a Hello Kitty tattoo. I think we should get it. We should get a Hello Kitty gang. What do you think about that? I think we could do that. They seem so obsessed with the imagery of tattoos, yet I just don't see it. Well, no, we have one, the Tasmanian Devils, I think, Temple Station. Yes, that's a Disney character. We also have Yosemite Sam, weapons training.
Yeah,
that's also a very scary character, probably because he might trip over his mustache.
All right. Isn't it kind of rich to hear somebody in law enforcement? Shout out to everybody out here, all my people that got ink, that rock ink, who've ever had an encounter with the police. Isn't it fucking laughable to hear a head pig in charge talking about the obsession over tattoo imagery? Have you been stopped by the police with a tattoo? Have you been documented as being a part of the Mickey Mouse gang? You understand? Like it is the bizarro world brought to actuality and reality for the rest of us, right? For the rest of us. Like it is preposterous, says Alex Villanueva, for Cerise to be so obsessed with this tattoo imagery. What? Why even? Anyway, I have a friend who has literally a roboctopus. It's a robot octopus on their arm. And the times that they've been stopped by the police, they have had this very distinctive tattoo photographed a number of times. And they have extremely, with contempt and sarcasm, asked the police, do you think I'm part of the roboctopus gang? Is that who you think? What set I'm claiming out here? Like, fuck the police. Fuck them. But getting back to Villanueva, keep making this point about there's no evidence, there's no documentation, there's nothing that Cerise could pull from Los Angeles Sheriff's deputy personnel files that would indicate that these cops are members of gangs. I mean, where exactly is it supposed to be notated at, Alex? Like, the opaqueness of trying to get officers' disciplinary records is legend, right? Police agencies, particularly the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department and LAPD, it requires some doing. And I don't even think that you can pull officers' disciplinary records. Not easily. And I don't even think I'm not even sure to the extent that the civilian oversight has access to that. But we know that the civilian oversight boards traditionally they have some investigative powers. They have powers to make recommendations, but they make no actual personnel decisions. I think they can recommend that an officer be fired, but they themselves, as the board, as an entity, cannot actually fire any officers. So Villanueva is acting as though to investigate the patterns in which his officers engage, to the extent of which they have complaints from the public, to the extent of which they have disciplinary offenses against them. This is not easy information to find. But he pretends as though it's not there and it doesn't exist. And that surely Cerise is such a terrible journalist, she never even bothered to look. Well, no, these things are hidden intentionally. They are hidden behind punitive fines FOIA fines, Freedom of Information Act fines. Sometimes they charge you or charge journalists exorbitant amounts, like per piece of paper. If there is something at a government agency or a state agency that is a lot of pages, I mean, that can very quickly be cost prohibitive. So there are ways in which the state administratively intentionally frustrates those who are trying to find information about public servants, but they act as though we are not entitled to information about public servants because the taxpayer funded gang has been a staple of American culture, and the way that the American elite class reinforces its hold on things, right? So okay. So I'm about to get off of this. But y'all need to hear this. Couple more things. So let's check out A4 there, Tunde, because he makes a very disingenuous point about gang violence as a whole and tries to say that the information that Cerise has presented is not in context, but I think it is precisely in context. And this is why we have to smear the smearers. We need to discredit the discreditors because Alex Villanueva was wholly talking out of his ass, and I'm sure a lot of people believed him. So let's take a listen to this next clip.
Let's think in totality. What would drive someone to call deputies gang members? What would be when we start thinking about motive here? Is there a financial incentive? Is there a grudge issue? If there's a let me get back at. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. It could be they personally believe it based on their own personal experience. What do you think, Richie?
Yes, I agree. If they believe that we're gang members, that's their belief. I don't think that we are gang members by far. We are not going after anyone. We're not getting any financial gain out of it. I think we stay focused in what we do, and we do it well, and that is to serve the community and respectly.
Oh, wait.
There's something I did notice in this report.
Can you back that up for a couple seconds? I'm sorry, because Ricky said something quite hilarious right there. Because he said something about we are not gang members. We are not in this for any financial incentive. Nigga, do you know what civil asset forfeiture is? Stop playing with us. I'm sorry.
We're not getting any financial gain out of it. I think we stay focused in what we do, and we do it well, and that is to serve the community and respectfully.
Now, there's something I did notice in this report, and I've seen this actually true of all of the reports, where the history of 1970 becomes a history of 2022. And as sheriff, I take office in 2018. Somehow I'm responsible for what happened when I was in second grade. And that gets kind of weird when you start thinking about it, because they start to conflate the past and the present as this one eternal thing. I mean, it's a real good fundraising tool for activist groups because they have to have somebody to beat up, somebody to vilify. There has to be a bad man out there, a bad guy, that's going to encourage the donations, encourage people that can write those big checks. Hey, look at our Bay Area billionaires, the board crowd that likes to write those $1 million checks for their favorite causes down here in the Southland.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, by the way, first of all, I think you all should take Alex Villanueva's advice, and I think you should support Cerise Castle's journalism. You can follow her on Twitter at Cerise_Castle, or I think it might be Cerise Castle, all one word, Cerise Castle, as in the castle in the sky. Yeah, you do need to support Cerise's journalism, because what she has undertaken is extremely brave and courageous. And you hear exactly what she is up against. The motivations for her writing this piece are questioned. As if, again, and I'm so sorry, I'm repeating myself, because it's galling to me that, number one, this man is targeting her. But again, it's not the first time Villanueva has targeted her specifically, and Knock LA as an outlet specifically. He has constantly besmirched them, mocked them, tried to discredit them for a sustained period of time now. And he really He really was mad. He was big time mad when Cerise dropped this shit. And it's funny to me to try to hear him sort of giggle and laugh through the evidence that Cerise has presented. But as you can clearly hear, he is not giving her reporting any sort of legitimate investigation or any sort of validity at all. He is broadly erasing it as completely invalid. But even in the ways that he tries to do that, you hear him consistently fall short. And then you hear his little hype boys, his hype men in the room. Ricky, here come Ricky talking about, we don't get any financial incentive for it, sir. Do you understand how much money like an average LAPD or LAST officer can make? With overtime and health benefits, it can routinely run into the six figures that police earn via their public salaries. Now, let's not even mention all the robbing that police do off regular people all of the fucking time. They steal cash, they steal guns, they steal drugs, they steal everything that you can even think of. Civil asset forfeiture, if you're not familiar with that term, which I'm sure all of you here at Burn It Down with Kim Brown are very familiar with it, ask about it, find out about it. Because the cops are sitting on a pile. In addition to sitting on a taxpayer pile, they are sitting on a pile of stolen booty. Procured from motorists and residents of Los Angeles County. So again, the ways in which this man is trying to discredit Cerise and belittle her, question her motives, and basically say that there's no evidence to what she is alleging. But again, she's not the only one. And there have been a number of outlets, but it just seems very telling to me that he decided to focus on her for so long. So okay. So the other thing that Villanueva did, because he spent the entire show 2 hours talking about deputy gangs, and he name checked Cerise a bunch of times. Y'all heard him. He kept calling her out. Cerise Castle, this so-called alleged journalist, this our inspector general, called her out a bunch of times. Now, if you're gonna call me out, at least call me and ask me, do I have something to say about it? Because that's what a real motherfucker would do. You understand? If you're going to talk about me for 90 minutes, why don't you at least invite me on your show? And in a very half-hearted, flimsy, very juvenile, immature, not professional way, Alex Villanueva was trying to goad Cerise into calling in. So let's take a listen. He did it twice in the second hour of his show, and I think we put both of those call outs together. Let's take a listen to that.
Our one and only author of this report from NAC LA, she's upset that we're disparaging her. Well, you're not reporting. You're doing a one-sided hit piece, and you're trying to pass it off as investigative journalism. It's not. All right. So, and we're not targeting you. We're actually commenting publicly on the quality of your reporting. And if that's unacceptable to you, well, too bad. I guess maybe you should do a better job next time when you disparage public servants. When you disparage people that have been dead for over 20 years and call them gang members. Shame on you, Cerise. Before we go to our last report, I just want to throw out there, we got a question here. We're going to take a question from Mario in a second there, who's waiting online very patiently. But also, we want to invite Cerise Castle. You know the number, 1-800-520-1534. We want you to call in. We want you to give us detailed about your investigative efforts that you did to put in this 15-part thing together. And you came up with a determination, particularly the part about where you made the late Sheriff Sherman Block an associate gang member. That one is, I find, intriguing. And also, Gil Carrillo, retired homicide detective, honorably served, was instrumental in catching the Night Stalker, and had a very important and 4-part Netflix series devoted to that case. And he's just an incredible human being, and you actually defamed him. And and that's just not appreciative. So maybe you can explain what led you to label him that. So the lines are open for you, Cerise. So feel free to call in when you want. All right.
Fuck you, you fucking coward, you fucking piece of scrotum skin, you fucking malformed, malignant fucking tumor with a short sleeve khaki shirt. You piece of shit. First of all, I can only imagine what Cerise must have been experiencing when she either became aware that this person was targeting her on the radio. Alex Villanueva talking about that she's upset. Well, maybe you should do better journalism. Hey, Alex Villanueva, why don't you make available the disciplinary records and the personnel records of the officers that are in question for potential gang affiliation? Why don't you just open up the books for Cerise and for other journalists who I'm sure have been demanding this exact information for probably decades, right? If the sheriff's department and police and law enforcement in general were more transparent and more willing to be accountable for the officers that routinely commit violations of people's rights and commit crimes themselves, then maybe y'all wouldn't feel so attacked, or you wouldn't experience the levels of mistrust from the community, and you wouldn't have to worry about people. I mean, you should worry about people trying to cut your funding, because your funding needs to be cut because y'all are taking up too much of the public dime. But don't come for people who have the audacity to call truth to power. Don't come for people who care about the well-being and the welfare of the way that the community is being policed, and who isn't afraid to call out shitty behavior, dangerous behavior, and abhorrent behavior. And you should own your shit, Alex Villanueva, because just the same way as though you knew of the existence of gangs in the 70s, then you knew that this was a fucking issue. You knew that this at least existed when you assumed power. Oh, gang, and by the way, Alex Villanueva is up for re-election. He is. I want us to move along, and I'm deeply sorry because I didn't realize I'd spent an hour on this issue with Cerise and Alex Villanueva, but I just wanted to, in closing, send my unwavering support to Cerise Castle. She appeared on The Breakfast Club this morning, guys. I did not check it out because I didn't want to be influenced by other people. So I will check out Cerise's appearance on The Breakfast Club, but she did make that appearance. And I hope Charlemagne was respectful. But, Charlemagne has rebranded himself as woke Negro. So I'm guessing that he probably came with the proper level of respect for Cerise. If not, then you know what I'm gonna be talking about on Friday. Latif, thank you so much for your support. Latif sent us a super chat. He said, me and Pops are watching the show. Hey, Papa Teef, what's going on? He said, me and Pops are watching the show. Big shouts, hey, to Pop Squad. Fire episode today, Kim. Thank you for the shout outs. Yes, thank you, and shout out Cerise. Thank you, Latif. We appreciate you. Tunde, I could do this in 15. Can I rock? Alrighty. Our main topic today, guys. It seems as though, again, it's never ending for Black people, and of course, I'm always going to shine the spotlight on Black women. And in the ways that we encounter our bullshit and we deal with shit. And one of our sisters is dealing with a big amount of shit, a huge amount of shit. We have to say free Brittany Griner, okay? Because the WNBA star is indeed a political prisoner. She is being held in Russia for allegedly, and I'm going to emphasize on allegedly because I'm hearing way too many journalists and people who are in positions of power, like Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who actually spoke in support of Brittany and called for her release. But she seemed to be somewhat convincing. Let me rephrase. Convincing is not the right word. Definitive in her words, talking about Brittany being caught with these hash cartridges, and I'm like, hey, what the fuck? So we just going for that shit, huh? So if you could pop up B1 for me, Tunde. So here we go. This came out today in the New York Post. And allegedly, this is Britney's mugshot from her arrest in Russia. Now, we do not have the exact date that Britney was arrested or detained in Russia, but apparently she has been there held for the past 3 weeks. And let's be clear here, okay? Brittany Griner was not there as a tourist. She wasn't visiting Russia. She wasn't just seeing what's up. She wanted to go to the museums in Moscow. No, she was there working. Why was she there working? Well, during the off season from playing, she plays with the Phoenix Mercury. Do I have that right? From her WNBA job, playing with the Phoenix Mercury, she plays the off season in Russia, where she has played for the last 7 seasons. Let me say that one more time. Brittany Griner has been playing basketball in Russia for 7 years. Okay, 7 years. 7 years. So y'all thought on 3 weeks ago that Brittany, who had been living and working in Russia for various durations of time over the past 7 years, y'all thought February of 2022 was when Brittany said, you know what? These hash cartridges from Russia just be hitting too good, man. Let me throw a couple of these joints in my bag and see if I can get them through customs. And as you can imagine, as anyone who's traveling internationally, and if you have not traveled to Russia, which I have not, but I did at one point book a flight to Russia, which I thankfully canceled, but you got to go through customs a few times, okay? You got to go through customs when you leave America. I think when you either get to Amsterdam or London, wherever, you got to go through some customs there. And when you get to Moscow, you got to go through some more customs. So you're trying to tell me this professional woman, this professional athlete who has traveled internationally, who is an Olympian, whom, Mr. Repeat this again, who has been playing basketball in Russia for 7 years. You think 2022 was the year that she just woke up and decided to try to bring home some hash cartridges, as if you can't buy weed everywhere in America, right? Miss me with that bullshit. Okay, because I see a couple things going on here. Okay, so first of all, let's do the underpinning of this. Weed should be legal everywhere. Let's just be very, very clear about that. Legalize it every single fucking place on the planet. Nobody should be getting pinched with weed. Okay, that's first of all. Second of all, Brittany absolutely knew better than to bring some weed on the plane with her. That is why I am casting aspersions on really the entire Russian narrative and accounting of this, because the timing is too good, right? You're going to all of a sudden detain a veteran, a seasoned professional basketball player of American descent, of Black American descent in your country, around the same window time in which Russia was planning an invasion of, let's say, NATO-backed Ukraine. Okay, I think it's safe to say that. Ukraine is backed by NATO. Russia came and said, nope, this is our shit and all that, right? So you think that's coincidence? You think it's just coincidence that Brittany Griner happened to be detained all this time? I want us to hear really quickly from Sheila Jackson Lee, because I am of perplexedness as to why this is not leading news. Like, to me, Brittany's detention in Russia should be more of a prioritized story than the Russia fighting in Ukraine, right? For the simple fact that I'm looking at this from the American media lens and perspective and the way that they prioritize things, but there are no American troops on the ground, right? That's how America prioritizes things. It's usually, if there's an American slant to it, that will usually lead. But there's no American troops on the ground, but we have an American being held in, I would call, hostile conditions with another country that we are declared enemies with, right? That what the fuck is going on here? And I saw Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, on Meet the Press, and he was like, we're doing everything we can to make sure that any American, fuck any American, bitch, we talking about Brittany, free Brittany. What the fuck is up with Brittany? Let's hear from Sheila Jackson Lee, if we could, Tunde, because Brittany Griner is from Texas. I believe she's from Houston. Did she go to Baylor? Like, Brittany's bad bitch. Brittany's out here dunking, and Brittany is radical and with the shits politically, which I'm going to address as well, which is, I think, a big reason why you are not hearing Brittany Griner's detention or being arrested in Russia leading the news. They're talking about it, but it's not leading to me like it should be. Let's listen to the Congresswoman.
Brittany Griner is a United States citizen. She was a guest in Russia. With the WNBA, she's been, and I will be demanding her release. I have just spoken to the State Department to try to get them to focus on her circumstances. As I said, she's been there for a period of time, about a month that this happened, as I understand. But the Russian Federal Customs Service announced that they had detained her on Saturday, which is earlier than today for us. And I know that there are items that they represent that are adverse to them. I don't want to disregard a sovereign nation, but Putin has disregarded sovereign nations his entire service in this world. And anyone that is killing and attacking and destroying Ukraine, their neighboring country that does not bother them, has no right to hold Ms. Griner, period. If there is challenges and concerns about her actions, it should be dealt with diplomatically, and she should be released.
Yeah, so people who are in authority are speaking very definitively that Brittany is indeed guilty of this. And I think maybe that is perhaps some diplomatic speech in the sense that, Sheila Jackson Lee just acknowledged that, Russia's a sovereign country, even though Putin doesn't. Okay, cool. All right. We know you had to throw that in there. We understand you had to get that off. But at the same time, if she's an American, then I would hope that they need to be talking about her situation through the lens as though they did with when white men went to countries and acted a fool, like when that white guy went to North Korea and they left him in jail and he died and Trump was all upset, or when the white boy went to Singapore and tore down the sign and then he got caned. And white people were aghast. They couldn't believe it. Tunde, can we take a look at, I think it's going to be B2. It's going to be the Instagram post by Brittany's wife. So guys, Brittany Griner is a gay black woman, okay? Russia is not friendly to gays. And despite what you may think, Russia's not exactly friendly to blacks, okay? Russia's probably not all that different symbolically in the ways that they symbolize black figures and blackness and blackish stuff. They may have a little bit more credibility than the U.S., but not really, because I know that there are places in Russia named for Paul Robeson and named for Patrice Lumumba. But again, walk your black ass around Moscow at 2:00 in the morning. Let me know. Let me know how that goes. So Russia is anti-black and anti-gay. That is extremely relevant when we're talking about Brittany Griner. And this post is from Brittany's wife, Sherelle Griner. She says, "Thank you to everyone who has reached out to me regarding my wife's safe return from Russia. Your prayers and support are greatly appreciated. I love my wife wholeheartedly. So this message comes during one of the weakest moments of my life. I understand that many of you have grown to love BG Brittany Griner over the years and have concerns and want details. So please honor our privacy as we continue to work on getting my wife home safely." And I can imagine that Sherelle probably is not in a position to be disclosing a lot of details. I'm not even sure to the extent that she has been in contact with Brittany. And chances are we're not going to hear a lot about this. And as serious, honestly, as a situation as this is, and let me say this, I'm not going to even front y'all. The first thing that I thought about when I heard that Russia had Brittany was that damn Dave Chappelle skit from fucking Killing Me Softly, where he was talking about the so-called terrorists taking black American hostages, and they called the White House, "Hello, we have 4 black." Hello, hello, right? I mean, that's kind of how I was thinking about it. And let me just put this up here as well, because I think funny not funny. That's probably a lot of what is exactly going on here. Tunde, if you could pop up B4 for me, please. So, Brittany Griner is not just anybody, y'all. As many of us know who have been paying attention to the intersection, of sports culture and racism, WNBA athletes have been with the shits, okay? They've been with the shits since Trayvon and onward, right? And many times WNBA players participated in protests or actions or did demonstrations during games or before games to show their support standing with Black lives and the victims of police violence. They did that shit before the NBA players. Let's keep it a whole fucking buck here, okay? And Brittany Griner with the shits. So this was July of 2020. This is a Yahoo Sports piece. Headline reads, Brittany Griner, national anthem has no place in the WNBA and or sports. Okay. Now this was when the NBA bubble was still happening down in Orlando. And Brittany gave a video press conference or a video call with some reporters. And let me just note here that Brittany obviously plays center for the Phoenix Mercury and is the 2019 league MVP runner-up. And this is what she told reporters back in 2020. Brittany said, I honestly feel that we should not play the national anthem during our season, Griner said. She also went on to give a couple of other interesting quotes here. They have it in strange font. It says, I'm going to protest regardless. I'm not going to be out there for the national anthem. If the league continues to want to play it, then that's fine. It will be all the same. I can only speak for myself. So Brittany was among a number of WNBA players who either did not come out for the national anthem or left the court when the national anthem played. And if you check out Brittany's name, if you search Brittany's name right now, especially on Twitter, you're going to find all kinds of racist pieces of shit talking about is Black Lives Matter going to come to Moscow and get you out? No, her fucking government should. You know why? Because Brittany's a fucking citizen. She is entitled to all the rights of American diplomacy and getting her out of some shit the way they would white folks when they go abroad and get into some shit. And I'm loath to even say get into some shit because I think that is a bunch of fucking propaganda. I think that is a lie. I think that is a falsehood. I'm sorry. This woman is a professional athlete. Her job is to travel the country and travel the world. Brittany knows when she can take and when she can't take certain shit. She knows that. Knows it. Because anytime that you're trying to do dirt, right? Black people always have to think in triplicate when we are considering doing dirt because we know who's going to be the first motherfuckers they look at. Right? So, do I do this dirt or do I not do this dirt? Because just by virtue of existing, I fit the description. Right? I fit the description. And then there was a video going around allegedly showing the instant in the airport, and then pardon me, the airport name was just too many syllables. I cannot pronounce it. It was just way too long. The place in Russia where the airport was when she got detained. There is overhead video that allegedly shows the moment in which that happened, but it's very not clear. It's not clear, number one, when the video was taken, what exactly is transpiring. So in my opinion, it is not credible video evidence. So I want you guys to, number one, please push Brittany's story, the fact that she is not safe as a gay Black American woman in Moscow right now. She is a political prisoner. There is no reason not to call her a political prisoner. And the whole reason for her being over there, the whole patriarchal disparity in pay between the WNBA and the NBA is probably a whole nother conversation. But regardless of why she was there as a working professional. She knows the rules of the road. She understands the mores and customs and what is allowed and what is not permitted in the Russian Federation. And I don't believe for a fucking second that she was trying to transport fucking hashish cartridges. She's looking at 10 years. So it is very important for us to amplify the story happening to Brittany Griner and to make sure that it is of importance. Anyway. So yes, that. Gang, I apologize because I have held y'all hostage for a duration. So do me a favor, if you're watching us right now and you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit subscribe. We certainly appreciate it. Like us different places around the internet at BIDWKB on Instagram, Twitch, and Facebook. Join me tonight at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. I'm going to be over on Revolutionary Blackout Network. You need to go check us out. We're going to be talking about Medicare for All and having a women's healthcare panel. I'm very excited. So shout out to Josana. Shout out to Afeni. Shout out to all the good people at Revolutionary Blackout Network. It could be a wonderful conversation and a good panel. So join me later tonight for that. Please join us. Please join us. Thank you all again for stopping by and rocking with us, Fire Fam. I love you guys. Mwah! Also, tomorrow morning, Black Power Media, the Remix Morning Show, 8 a.m. Eastern. Wake up and cut up with your folks. We would surely like to see y'all there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Courtney, excellent job, my darling. You're doing fantastic. Thank you guys so much. On behalf of Tunde and Molly, we love y'all. See y'all later. Bye-bye. COVID is still out here jumping on people. News at 11.